Hello there. Thank you for following my channel and liking my videos and blog threads. In part 24, we continue with grids and now create a grid with form input controls. We create a new Vue component page, then create a container layout for it. We create the layout for the page. We will add some rows, columns, and input controls. This is a vContainer parent element. We then link it to the page load layout method. We then need to add this to the page collection and also the navigation drawer. Let's add some rows and columns and input controls. We will name this row 1. We use the form name here so that we don't have conflicting names. The tag for the row is v-row. Let's duplicate this row and create more rows. We also update their names. So far we are going well. Let's add some columns to the rows and also update their names. We also use the parent row name as part of the name for this column. We change the tag name to be vehicle. Let's create duplicates for these columns and feed the other rows with the clones. We update the names. The name of each element in the abstract designer needs to be unique. We will resize the columns as we will add input elements to them. To refresh, let's go to the Vuetify docs and see how each text field is defined. We open the code window. We have created our container, then the rows and after that the columns. We now need to create each text field. We go back to the designer and open it. Then we start adding the text fields. For each text field, you need to change the name, the tag name, the v-model, and then you can set other attributes like solo, placeholders, hints, etc. Let's call this one, first name. We duplicate it for other text fields we need. It's always better just to define one with all the properties you need, then clone it and change its name. Here we will show different types like solo, filled and rounded elements. The v-model is used for two-way data binding. For each text field we need to specify it so that we can read and set the value of each text field. We give the text fields the unique v-model variable names we want them to be bound to. We also update the names of each of the text fields. Now let's update the labels for each text field. Let's also make this text field outlined. We also feed some attributes to the text fields, to make them different from each other. This will range from being filled, being solo, having placeholders, showing hints, etc. We want the hint to be persistent, so we turn that on. The abstract designer layout we have just created is just that, a layout. Even if we load it for use, the Vuetify instance will not know about the elements, their states, their events, up until we bind the elements. So let's generate our member elements and bind them to the Vuetify component page. Before we do that, let's add a button to the layout. We want this button to fill its width on the column. We will use that to read and show the entered contents on this page. We create a row and a column. Inside the column we add a button, then link this button with events. We will fix this placement later. We go to the Tools menu, and then generate the members. This ensures that our elements are accessible via code. For the button, we also selected a click event. The element variable names are now inserted on the code. We need to bind these to the Vue component. For each text field we have created, we call the bindVueElement method, passing it the element name. Now when we run our app, we will be able to see all the text fields we have created. So far so good. We need a way to read our contents. Back on the layout, we will update the column sizes for each column we added. We do this for all the columns. We fix the button placement. It needs to be inside a column. We want the space between the elements to be small. We use the hide details property and set this to true for all the elements. We will make the button color primary. We want it to fill the width of the column. We add a block attribute, which should be true. In each of the rows, we activate the no gutters attribute to true. This helps minimize the space in between rows. Setting each element attribute to dense also ensures that the text fields appear smaller. We make the button rounded. We want to show the contents entered by the user. Let's add another row and column. We will add a paragraph inside the column that will bind itself with the first and last name values. We update the size of the column. Let's make it 12 all around. We add a paragraph. We will use mustaches for the bindings. The tag name for the paragraph is P. We update the caption to be bound to the first and last name by using mustaches. So each time the first and last names are changed by the user, this paragraph will also be changed. This is done by reading the state value at the time. Let's now run the app and see. As soon as we enter the first name and last name, the paragraph is also updated. Back to our code, we want when the button is clicked, the contents of the first and last name are displayed on a snack bar. Let's add the click event code to read the states and then show them. We create a variable to hold the state value for the first name. We also do this for the last name. We use the getData method to read the state value of the last name and first name. We then show these using the globally available snack bar. Remember, we used the v-model to get the value attribute of the text fields. This v-model attribute is also used to set the value of the text field. We enter the names and then click the Save button. The snack bar appears with the contents we entered. Now we want that when our page appears, there should be contents on the first name, we will introduce the mounted method of our Vue component page. For this we define a subroutine that should be called when the page is mounted. We use the SetData method to set the value of the first name. We then register this method on the page, so that it's called on mount of the component page. We do this with the setMount method, giving it the subroutine name to process. The subroutine name exists within the scope of this page, thus the me word usage. We use the ignore dead code indicator so that this sub is never regarded as dead code. Now as soon as our page is mounted, the saved state for the first name is updated to what we specified. So each time you need to change the value of the text field and any other component, use the SetData method. This covers our part 24. Thank you.